Every Friday morning from 5:45 to 6:45 a.m., I sit downstairs in front of my laptop. The lights are low. I make a cup of matcha or green tea. The house is quiet. My wife and daughter are still sleeping. And I just write. No notifications, no performance, no plan to publish anything that morning. Just typing, letting sentences find their way onto the screen. That hour has quietly become one of the most important creative rhythms in my life. Not because it's necessarily productive in the traditional sense, but because it's honest. For a long time, I believed something about creativity that now I think is wrong. I believe that if you were truly creative, it should show up on demand. That ideas come from brilliance and spontaneity and momentum. That real creators were always on. That belief is everywhere. You see it in the way we talk about genius. You see it in the way that we glorify hustle culture. You see it in social media, where creativity looks loud, fast, and constant. But that's not how creativity has ever worked for me, at least. And the older I get, the more I realize it doesn't work that way for most people. Stephen King talks about this in his book on writing. He describes creativity not as a lightning strike, but as showing up, same place, same time, again and again, not waiting to feel inspired, not waiting for the perfect conditions, just returning to the work. That idea was oddly freeing for me because it meant creativity wasn't something I had to summon. It was something that I could meet if I honored the rhythm that it wanted. Here's what I've noticed about my own creative rhythm. It doesn't show up when I'm rushing. It doesn't show up when I'm multitasking. It doesn't even show up when I'm trying to prove something. But it seems to show up in the quiet, in predictability, in moments where no one is watching. That Friday morning hour works because it's protected, and it works because it's unglamorous. No one sees it, no one applauds for it, there's no immediate reward. And because of that, my nervous system relaxes. Creativity often needs safety, not pressure. The guilt for me, used to come from comparison. Why can't I write every day? Why won't ideas flow in the middle of the afternoon? Why don't I want to be visible all the time? But I've learned something really important. Creative rhythm is deeply personal. Some people work best in bursts, some in silence, some in late at night, some before the world wakes up. The mistake is to assume that there's a universal standard and then shaming ourselves when we don't match it. Honoring our creative rhythm isn't about indulgence. It's about sustainability, especially in seasons when energy matters more than output. When you're raising a family, when parents are aging, when life carries more emotional weight. In those seasons, creativity doesn't need to be maximized. It needs to be preserved. That's why I no longer ask, how can I produce more? I ask what rhythm allows me to keep returning. That Friday hour isn't about volume. Sometimes I write a page, sometimes a paragraph. Sometimes just a few lines are actually worth keeping. But over time, those small, quiet returns compound, not just into ideas, but into trust. Trust that creativity hasn't left me. Trust that I don't need to force it. Trust that my best work comes when I stop trying to perform it. So, if you're wrestling with guilt around how you create, here's a gentler question. Where does your energy naturally open up? Early mornings, late nights, long walks, solitude? And what would it like to honor that rhythm without apology? Not every day, not perfectly, just consistently enough to keep the door open. For me, it's that quiet Friday morning, low light, matcha, a laptop, and the freedom to write without being seen. That's not laziness, I'm realizing. It's alignment. And that alignment, I've learned, is what lets creativity last. If this resonates, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. This is where I explore quiet creativity, calm leadership, and building work that fits real life. And if you prefer reading, I write a twice a month letter called The Quiet Builder. It's for thoughtful professionals who are designing sustainable and creative lives. You can find it over at sellingthecouch.com/quiet builder. I encourage you more than anything to build slowly because your rhythm already knows the way.